Welcome to Pandemic Sleep Tips, and today's topic is laugh yourself to sleep. So I have Chelsea Greenbaum on with me. Chelsea is the founder of Evanston Laughter Wellness, and she's a laughter wellness coach. Don't know how many of you have heard of that before, but she'll explain that to us. I've actually taken a class with Chelsea, and so I can share my experiences from that as well. But we hopefully will give you guys an opportunity to experience a little bit virtually. It's not quite the same as in person. But if you think you have friends that would be interested in this, please share this with them and comment any questions that you have. Please add those to the comments and we'll try to answer those as we go along as well. So Chelsea, if you could start by telling us what exactly is laughter wellness?
Sure. What a phenomenal question. So it's a practice that's been around for quite a while. It started probably over 20 years ago in India, actually, by a guy named Dr. Kataria. But basically, it's all centered around the idea that your body receives a lot of benefits from the act of laughter. And the cool part is that your body cannot tell the difference between kind of reactionary laughter, where you're laughing at a joke or at a funny movie or something like that, and what we call intentional laughter, which is purely just the act of laughter, whether it's reacting to something or not. You receive the same physical benefits. So that's the idea that laughter yoga is rooted in. And so essentially it's a series of what we call laughter exercises, very silly 1-2 minute exercises that just get you laughing. Pairs of movement, kind of simplistic movement with the act of laughter. And that's really, all it is. People do it individually. People do it in groups. You can do it with a few people. There are groups, especially in India where it originated, that, they'll have groups of up to 100, 150 people gather in parks and do it all together. So it can be a very intimate experience or it can be a very public experience. But really, it's just laughter at the end of the day. It's not more complicated than that. It's laughter and a little bit of breath work and meditation.
Okay. So when you've offered classes, how long are they typically? And you've talked about it a little bit, but what could people expect to do in a class? Are you like laughing for an hour or what do you do?
Not quite. So it ranges a little bit, but a typical class you would, we do a little bit of introductions, warm-ups, if you will, and warm-up sounds a lot more complicated than it is. It's just some simple movement to get, your body warmed up a little bit. Nothing very physically strenuous. And then you follow that up with probably 15 to 20 minutes of laughter exercises. And that means, kind of doing these 1 to 2 minute exercises interspersed with some deep breathing. So it should total that you've laughed for probably 15 minutes, but you're pausing, you're taking breaks, and I'm explaining the exercises. So you're not laughing straight for that whole time because that's a lot of oxygen. You then wrap up with a couple of different meditation exercises. So one is something we call laughter meditation that I'll typically do, which is basically still the act of laughter, but instead of pairing it with an exercise or emotion, you sit as a group, eyes closed, and you just laugh together. Sounds very weird and very simplistic, but it works every time. And people really get into it. And that lasts, typically a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And then, we do some more typical kind of guided breathwork meditation just to recenter ourselves before I send people back out into the world, because at that point they're pretty energized from 20 minutes of laughter and expelling all that oxygen. I've had people liken it to like a runner's high, if anyone out there runs. So it's kind of helping us recenter ourselves from that amount of exertion.
Yeah, I think when I did the class, the laughter meditation you were talking about, where we were lying on the floor, I think you gave us options. We could sit or do different things, and just laughing for 2 minutes. And we didn't have to laugh the whole time, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. You said just as you feel it, laugh, and it was spontaneous because people would laugh and they would get you going. And it's kind of like those fun times with your friends where it's just contagious and you keep laughing and it was comfortable. That was the easiest part.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's what I tell people too. It's, it's a very weird practice at first. It feels very awkward. I think we, as most adults, don't laugh as much as we think we do, and certainly not for no reasons, spontaneously out of nowhere. And so the first few minutes can feel very odd, very awkward. But, I think what most people find is that, pretty quickly they realize that they're with a group of people who are all feeling that way. And so there's this, sense of connectedness and sense of acceptance that, this is just what we're going to go through together. And very quickly it kind of tips over into, reclaiming, to your point, kind of that childlike wonder that we had, right? Where we didn't have a reason to laugh all the time. We just did. And kind of reclaiming that as we've, grown older and forgotten what that's like. So especially, I think, to your point, during that, laughter meditation piece, you're really laughing at nothing, and you're kind of just feeding off the energy of everyone around you and, what they're doing. And it's kind of this beautiful thing that happens, that you really just kind of have that final release of, what does it matter what other people think? We're just here together doing this, and, it makes me feel good. So why not?
Yeah, I would say the class for me was a combination. I describe it as a combination of improv class and going to yoga meditation class. So it was like if those two had a baby, maybe that's what this would be.
Oh, that's such a good metaphor. Yeah, I do think there is an element of improv for sure. Although I do also like to caveat that with you don't have to be funny.
Right.
When I've taken improv in the past, I feel like this pressure to be funny, even though that's not what improv professionals will tell you is the goal.
Right.
And with this, you're not telling jokes or anything. You're just, doing silly stuff and laughing. So there's not that pressure to react and, to have that joke ready to go, which is why I like it, I think, because it takes a lot of that stress away of having to be on the whole time. You can kind of take it at your own pace and feel however much of it that you want to feel in the moment.
Great. So can we show people a couple examples?
Sure.
I'll do them with you.
Sure. Yeah. So I would say, in general, the exercises are not set in stone. I mean, there's hundreds out there and you could come up with your own. But really, it's just a basic concept paired with an action. And so there are some that are very simple, kind of repetitive, motions, which we can do now. And then there are other ones that are maybe a little bit more on the improv-y side of things, where you're kind of interpreting, a word or something. And then there are other ones that are group exercises, and those are fun too. If you're, one day when we'll be in person again and we can kind of react off of each other. But for now, we can just do a really simple kind of repetitive one to show people the very basic of what it looks like. So it's called Aloha laughter. So basically, you can pair any movement with it that you want. But the basics of it is just you go, Aloha. Hello? Hello?
Kim, you better be doing this at home.
Yeah, Kim, come on. Hello? Oh, man. So that's kind of the idea. So typically, in a class setting, we would do that for probably a minute. And we just repeat it and, until the class feels like they're winding down, and then we move on to another exercise.
Yeah, that was a good point. That was one of the things I appreciated too, that if there was something I was uncomfortable with, I knew it was ending in a minute. We could do anything for a minute, right?
Exactly. That is a very good point. Yeah, I mean, it's not the whole class, if you really smashed it together and took out all of the talking and the explanation, probably lasts 20, 25 minutes. Which is really all you need. And you can do anything for 20 minutes, especially in kind of 1-2 minute increments. So what I tell most people when they come to a class for the first time is, bear with me, try it. If you hate it at the end of it, I'm not going to be offended, but you tried something new and you stuck with it. And that's all that really matters for anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
I know we did another one with our evil laugh.
Yes, that is one of my favorites.
Can we do that one next?
Sure, yeah. So this is one I would categorize as probably more in the improv-y bucket, if you were. But this basically in a class, and what I'll do now is just say, your best version of an evil laugh, like that mad scientist plotting to take over the world laugh, and whatever that means to you, do it. So for me, that's,
Yeah. My kids have to be very disturbed right now.
One can only hope, I love the ones like that, because you get, a million interpretations of the same word. I don't think I've ever seen the same person do it twice. I think it's very fun. And it's one of those that, somebody will do something totally unexpected and it gets the whole group laughing for real, which is just an added benefit, right? It's not required, but it happens a lot.
Yeah. Are there any other techniques you wanted to show us now, or?
No, I don't. I mean, I think that's kind of the gist of it, right? I mean, if you look up laughter exercises, there's a million different ones, but really at the end of the day, just pick an action that, makes you laugh and laugh with it. Especially if you're doing it at home, I think there's a lot of tips and tricks out there for that, but the ones that I tend to like, because it's just awkward to do it by yourself sometimes, is to pair it with an action that you maybe don't enjoy so much, folding laundry, washing dishes, every time you open your fridge, that sort of thing, pair it with kind of like a household activity when no one's around or when other people are around. And, and that way it gets you kind of doing it throughout the day, or maybe in the morning or something like that. But
you could maybe do it after dinner with your family as well.
Oh,
to help
totally.
digest your food.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So is there a certain amount of time you recommend laughing to get the best benefits health-wise?
Yeah. So the general recommendation is 15 to 20 minutes a day. I think personally at least 10 minutes will be sufficient. The idea is that any amount of laughter is good for you. Sustained laughter is where you start to see sustained benefits. So you feel good if you chuckle for a minute, but if you laugh, full belly laugh for 10, 15 minutes, you'll feel lighter, for lack of a better term. And then if you do that regularly, you make it a habit and you do it for a few weeks, the idea is that you'll start to feel that consistently happening, where you're just consistently lighter. And so that's generally what's agreed upon, 10 to 20 minutes a day, or when you can. Yeah. And really any time of day. I mean, morning is great because it kind of sets you off good for the start of your day, but certainly not a requirement. I think with a practice like this, if you can do it at all, you're doing yourself a service. So yeah.
It's always good in the morning to get up and get some sunshine. So you could stand by your window and just laugh, make your neighbors think you're insane.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot where, if you're not feeling particularly creative that morning, just stand, arms out, head thrown back, and just laugh for a couple minutes. And that's enough,
And so can laughing help me sleep?
I mean, I think
having
so.
a laughter practice.
Yeah. So there have been studies done both by, Dr. Kataria, who started it, and others that show that this type of sustained practice of laughter does have, physical effects on your body. Some of those are dropping your cortisol levels, and cortisol is a stress hormone. So, drop your stress. Most people link that to better sleep. It also releases endorphins, while you're doing this, and increases your oxygen flow. So in that sense, it's kind of like exercising. And so the same types of benefits you get from exercising to help you sleep, you would, see with this. It also has effects on your serotonin levels, which is linked to depression. So, if you're increasing your release of serotonin, less likely to feel that depressed feeling, and, that improves your sleep as well. So I think accumulating all those facts, it certainly does have positive implications on the quality of sleep that you get, I'll say.
Yeah. So it's probably not something you should do right before bed, though, right? Because it feels more energizing unless you're going to do a meditation right after it.
I think so. I know for me, I always feel kind of, hyped up afterwards, even with the meditation piece. So I choose not to do it right before bed. But yeah, if you choose to do the meditation portion after, that could be really effective for folks. Some folks do find that that type of endorphin release closer to bedtime is helpful for their sleep, and others don't, like me. So I think, it's one of those things where, like, if exercising really close to bed doesn't help
And
you, then don't do
most
this
people,
close to
that's not
bed.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that does produce kind of that runner's high. So it's something to keep in mind for sure.
It might be something, if you had a night where you didn't get a good night's sleep, this might be something to do instead of drinking extra coffee or an energy drink.
Yeah.
Doing some laughter to get yourself energized again.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think that's why, sometimes doing it closer to the morning is really helpful, because it kind of gives you a jolt, first thing, and carries you through the day. It's the same principle as you hear, like, in the morning, if you wake up and smile for a few minutes, it's that same principle, it kind of tricks your brain into feeling that, more throughout the day than maybe you would have otherwise. So, yeah.
So I know you said if you don't feel like doing it, you still get the benefits, even if you don't have natural laughter. If you do the laughter exercises, you still get the benefits. But any tips that you found that help you get a good laugh? Like, I like to watch the videos of babies giggling, or there's this little boy that's singing that his laughter is just so contagious. So I know we're more likely to laugh actually if other people are laughing and we hear other people laughing, which I keep saying I'm noticing a huge difference with the late night shows where they don't have an audience and they don't seem as funny because I'm not hearing other people laugh.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. I'm a big proponent of funny videos. I don't know if I have any recommendations, but I also, babies laugh make me laugh. And I think even, while we're all stuck inside, this type of, face-to-face, even if it's over video, helps, right? You can react off of your other person's facial expressions and that sort of thing. So even that, I think, fosters natural laughter, which might put you in the mood to fake additional laughter if you need to. And then there are things like, I'm not doing them right now, but there is, Laughter Yoga University, which is the original, kind of Dr. Kataria's foundation. They do, like a daily Skype laughter yoga session where a bunch of people log on and just go through some exercises together. So there's always stuff like that too. If you're not finding a video that's making you laugh or, something like that, then there are outlets to join and do this type of exercise with other people if you're not, comfortable or wanting to do it by yourself at home.
And what was that website again?
Oh, sure. It's Laughter Yoga University. If you just Google it, it's like the first one that pops up. I think it's laughteryoga.org. But they do a Skype daily laughter session.
Laughter Yoga University. I'm sorry, I'm typing it in here for people.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
And so how can people work with you? I know you can't do classes right now, but how can people follow you, and what type of services do you offer?
Sure. So yeah, I'm in a bit of a lull at the moment with everything going on, but I have a website. It's evanstonlaughterwellness.com. I'm also Evanston Laughter Wellness on Facebook and Instagram. So as I have classes posted, they get posted in all three of those locations typically. I do a mixture of stuff. I'm very open to trying new settings with new groups. And so I try to do some kind of free or donation-based classes when I can. I also am always happy to do private sessions with groups, if that's something folks are interested in. So it's all on the website. But
right. And I type that
if you're interested, if you're interested, I'm happy to talk about it. I'm always happy to talk about it. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Are there any questions? If you guys have questions, put those in comments and we can answer those before we take off. Give a minute for that. I feel more energized. I feel better.
Oh, good. I actually do too. I was real tired today. I say this every time I teach a class. I'm always like tired from work, and then I teach a class and I feel amazing. I'm like, why, why did I ever not want to do this?
Yeah, I think my upper back was a little tight going into this. I feel like maybe a lot of us are hitting that point in the shelter in where we're more irritable.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
this helped relax some of that tension.
Oh, good. That's excellent.
All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, but you can check out Chelsea's website and her Facebook page. If you have any questions, reach out to her there. And Kim, I wish we could see you too. We should have done this as Zoom so we could make everyone laugh with us.
Agreed.
And remember that there is more of these coming up this week. So tomorrow there's one on tapping. So it's a technique that's used just to help process your emotions. So Julie Schiffman will be coming and she'll talk about tapping specifically for sleep right now. And then on Thursday, we have a session about gut health and how your gut health impacts your sleep. And we have a few more that are being scheduled for later on in the week. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Chelsea, for sharing your laughter with us.
Of course. Thank you. This was fun.
Have a good day.
You
Bye.
too.